Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this design meetup by IxDF Kerala, sponsored by Experian Technologies. So, guys, think about the last time you used an interface. It could be mobile, TV, VR, or any equipments. Now, try to pinpoint an experience that felt completely effortless. Like you didn't pause, you didn't hunt for cues, you didn't have to even think. It felt like the system was actually reading your mind. In fact, that's the ultimate paradox of being a designer, right? The better the experience, the less you see it. Today, we are decoding this, the rise of invisible user experience. We are here to talk about a complete mindset shift. Like moving away from machines we have to operate to a system that just remembers your goals and guides us to them with minimal feedback from us. So we have Sai Krishna R with us today, a user experience specialist who has refined numerous flows for many B2B tools. Apart from his work, he's a traveler, a tech enthusiast, and a massive movie buff. Hi, Sai. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Evie. Yeah, hi. All. Yeah, thanks for the warm welcome. So let me share the screen first. Yeah, so I think Evie has already given you what I'm going to take in the session, like what is the basic thought we are going to discuss. So like we mentioned, like in this session, we are going to discuss about how the UX has been changed from the traditional pattern and traditional way of responding to the user. So I have given the topic as like the rise of the invisible UX. So you guys might be thinking like what the term mean by invisible UX? Like is it something like we are going to make disappear of UX, like we are going to make disappear of the screens? It's not like that. It's the term itself just meaning is like we are going to avoid multiple screens or we are going to avoid multiple flows and we are going to place the user experience effortless, like without the intention of a user, how we can make the user experience more and more effortless. That was the basic intention of this topic. So I will share an example with you so you guys can easily relate. So you guys all have used Google Maps, like everyone is using Google Maps. So normally how we use the Google Map is like we will just open the Map and we'll just enter a destination and we will just click on start the navigation. We will not check whether is it showing the is it the shortest route path or is it showing the correct map. We are not bothered about that because we have a trust on the Google Map and we will just click on to start navigation and we will start driving. Whenever we go to the wrong direction, the Google Map itself will redirect us with a new route, or if there is a traffic, the Google Map system itself will reroute the map. So the Google Map is not asking to the user like, okay, do you want to go to another, like we have a shortest path, do you want to choose that? Or if we travel to a wrong path, it will not ask us, okay, do you want another suggestion or can we reroute your direction? It will happen eventually. Like it is not asking for the user to confirm whether we need to the user need to confirm whether we need to change the direction or not. The system will itself do. So that's what happening in the invisible UX thought as well. Like without having the intention of with having the intention from the user, or without like user triggering anything, the system itself is taking the decision. Okay, the user has gone to the wrong path, so we need to navigate him to the right path, or we need to the system itself is taking the decision. Okay, we need to like change the route to the right direction. So that's what we mean by the invisible UX term itself. So if you ask for a definition, it is something simple like experience that naturally happens with minimal effort of the user. Like from a user perspective, I don't have to do much. It should happen naturally. And even if you ask me, like it will be something like the user don't need to know something is happening behind that. Like they only need to see the goals. They don't need to see what's happening behind, what all flows has been happened, what all changes has been happened. They only need to know about the goals. They don't need to click on anything, or they don't need to provide any triggers for doing that. So if you ask me to compare, like when we compare this with the old traditional way with the new one, like this is something which has been changing across the usage pattern, right? So when we compare it with the traditional UX pattern with the modern UX, actually it should something like a library. So just imagine the traditional UX is a library where we have all the information, something like screens, we have the data information, everything is there. As a user, we need to go to the library, we need to pick whatever we want, we need to search for the data, we need to fill the form if we want, and then we need to find the book which we want. But when it comes to the modern user experience, actually, it should be something entirely different. It should behave like a librarian, like who know what you want. Like they know what you want and they will pick that book and they will give that book to you. So here the output is same. Like in both the cases, the output is we are picking up a book. But in the second case, actually the effort done by the user is very less when compared to the first one. Because the system knows what the user wants and what the user would like to do. So the system itself will predict or maybe suggest what they want and it will give and it will reduce the effort. So that is what the basic change that happened from traditional UX to the modern UX, or we can call it as invisible UX or something. So what made this happen? So this is something very important, like from the traditional UX pattern, what made this UX to change? Like who want this change? So basically the user itself, because if you look at yourself, actually maybe for 20 years you might be looking at a website more than 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes, focusing on one single screen, and we have much focus and we have much patience. But right now, if you look at yourself itself, you don't have that much patience. So just an example, if someone has given you a 1 hour course and asked you to learn, most of us will not be happy with that. Like we will find a way how we can skip the intro, how we can reduce the time. We are not happy with spending 1 hour on a course. So mostly we try to find a new way how we can reduce that much effort spending on that course. So just an example, if there is a course and we need to attend some quiz based on that. So most of us will do something simple, like we will take the transcript and we will give to some AI tools and we will just ask maybe the ChatGPT or Claude and we will just ask the answer and we will try to attend the question. We only need the summarization part. We are not willing to go through the 1 hour video. We only need to get the summary of that particular topic and we need to attend the quiz. So that's the mindset, or that is the user thought has been changed a lot from the previous 20 years if we compare. Like even during the session also, maybe I think, yeah, you guys has been joined, so maybe you guys may be doing parallelly doing something else. Someone may be writing some mail, someone may be designing something, maybe someone may be using WhatsApp or doing some chat. So in parallel itself, the user is doing multitask and they are not focusing on one single thing. And we don't need a user to, like as a user we don't want to spend much time on learning something new. So previously, just an example, if we like using an application, there should be something like skip tour, like a tour or a user guide. In the, I think 10 years before, when we buy a new mobile, there should be a user guide which will say how to use, like what all things we can do, what all things we can't do. But right now, when we buy a new phone, it does not have a charger. Even it only has a phone with one single page, which will say how to insert the SIM. Other than that, nothing will be there because the user has been evolved a lot and they know how to use it, like how to use it. So they don't need any guidance or documentation to uh, how things should be done or how the system should be done. So previously, that earlier user was like that. Like they need to get a user guide to know how the system should be used. They will learn through that system. Then only they will start using the system. Also, they can only do one task at a time. So they prefer that. Most of the time, they will only do one task at a time. But now, when it comes to today's user pattern, actually, we will parallelly do multiple things instantly, and we don't spend much time on one single task. We want to move forward. We don't want to sit and go through a lot of things and wait for a confirmation and then move on. So that's how the user pattern has been changed. So that's why this kind of modern UX pattern is required to make this enable. So if we check the evolution part, actually from the past phase, actually we started this as a manual navigation. Like when we say the UX itself, some of you guys may feel like UX means screens, buttons, clicks, navigation, workflows, like that. So during the past time, actually, the manual transaction happened. Sorry, the manual navigation is initial way. Like the user has to go through the older system. They need to click, they need to find, then they need to type everything. But now what happened is that it has been more advanced. Like right now we have the smart assistant as well. We don't need to fill the form manually. Like the system will support. Like they will recommend autofill and some accelerated indent based on the choice it is getting changed. The data, the form will get filled. So that kind of changes has been happened at the present. So what will be the future? So in the future, when I say future, this the predictive and the predictive kind of thing is happening right now also. So right now what happens is that the system will anticipate and do behalf of a user. Like instead of a user triggering or user giving information, the system itself will know what the user want, when the user want, and based on that, it will predict. The user only need to confirm. So that's the thing which is going to change as an evolution from the previous pattern or from the past experience. So when we say about this, like there is a question like, okay, as a UX or user experience thing, we can think beyond the word. Like out of the box, we can think anything and we can design what all things we want. But there should be something which should enable this, or there should be some technical support or some kind of a support which required to enable or build this. Like instead of like just designing the things. So these are the few things which enabled this modern UX pattern as well. So the first one is AI and LLMs. Everyone know how it works, and like I mentioned, it summarizes the content. It helps to understand more about the users. It can summarize. And second one is automation. So when we say automation, actually from a user perspective, we might be doing a lot of tasks on a daily basis, maybe on an application or a system. So that may be a repetitive task. So why should user has to do all this repetitive tasks day by day if user does not have to give any special input to the system? So that can be automated. So right now, as a technology part, actually automation has been available and users have started using the automation even within us also. Like when we are taking a leave, actually in the Outlook itself we are setting up the automated email flows. Like we will be on leave and forwarding these messages in. So these kind of changes has been happened in the automation level as well. So this automation part help the UX also. Like user don't need to wait or don't need to make response for the some of the things. Like they can automate it and they can sit back and the automation, the system itself will work. So that kind of experience can be done using the automation. The other one is the API and integration part. So previously one system or one application was more focused on the system itself. Like they have not exposed any kind of APIs, or communication between two systems was very less. But right now, and like the systems can communicate each other. For example, if an application is working on a Chrome or it's a web app, that web app itself can work as on a WhatsApp channel or maybe on a Teams channel. So just an example I can tell you on the Flipkart. So Flipkart is an application which we are using on the app, on the mobile app itself. The same thing can be used on the Chrome application as well. But you guys know, I don't know whether you guys are familiar with Flipkart is also available on WhatsApp as a chat. From the WhatsApp chat itself, we can get the details of all the things from the WhatsApp channel itself. So that kind of API actually exposed by the Flipkart enable this kind of user experiences. If Flipkart is saying like I'm not going to enable or I'm going to provide these kind of APIs and integration support is not going to do, then the user experience will not be there. So these are the three major kind of things which enabled the modern UX part from a technical perspective. So other than this, we also have voice interfaces, something like Alexa, smart device and sensors. Like when I said the Google Map, it's um, tracking the movement of us and giving the data. Even the smartwatch giving the heart rate and other details, and AR VR experiences like we have in the Google Lens and all. So next, I would like to give an example on a real life example. This is not an exact thing like what happens, what should happen, but this is something like a workflow. So I will give. So just imagine you have booked for a flight ticket and it got cancelled due to some technical issue from the flight itself. So normally what happens in a traditional method, like we will get a notification maybe in the application, or we will be getting a email. So what happens is that we will get the email. So I will just play this one. Yeah, I don't know whether you guys were able to follow the entire steps. So what happened is I got a mail from the uh, like from the airline, like the ticket has been cancelled. Then I will just open the application, maybe airline application or maybe any third party application, and I will check the refund process. Then I will find another flight based on my based on my requirement, and then I will have to rebook with all the details I have to pre-fill. So from a traditional perspective, these much steps are involved when a cancellation, a flight ticket got cancelled, and then I need to rebook. So just imagine if this is happening, something like a conversational kind of a thing. Like I'm getting a WhatsApp message like the flight has been cancelled, and these are the flights which are available based on the timeline which I have given, and cost, what additional cost it could cost based on the ticket. So when we click on particular self the when we click on the option itself, the ticket is getting booked. So here, if you look, both the cases, like I mentioned earlier, actually the output is same, the workflow is same. Actually, the effort from the users that has been reduced a lot. If you look at from the first case to the second case, so I will give you one more example. I'm not going to show that. Just imagine you guys are using Book My Show application. So when we book the tickets, just imagine I have booked 3 tickets in the Book My Show for a film, and it suddenly got cancelled due to some reason. So normally what happens is I will get the refund. So when it got cancelled itself, it will show like your refund is getting processed and you will get the money within 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. So then what happened is that I need to go to the Book My Show and I need to find another theater with the same film with the same timing, because like if I plan like that, I need to go to the Book My Show and I need to do all of this and I need to rebook and I need to do the payment again. So the initial payment I have done is not, I have not yet received that money, but still if I want to view the same film on the same day at the same time, I need to go through the Book My Show application and redo the entire process. So just imagine what happen if it's coming like a WhatsApp message with some options, with the same options, with some alternative time, like the film ticket is not available at 2:30, like it's suggesting a time like 4:30. There is a show at this theater with this much cost. You have to pay additional this amount. So the refund amount can be adjusted using that. So that kind of experience will reduce the effort from the user, even to think, okay, I need to open the system and I need to check for another thing. And the comparison part, everything, that kind of effort can be reduced from the user side itself. So this is not, when I say the topic itself, the rise of invisible UX, actually, this is not something new. This is something already existing, and this is something which we are using on a daily basis. So like I mentioned, the Google map. So that is using for, I think, for the last 10 years, we are all using, and these kind of features are available around us. But we are not aware, okay, this has been, the application is working based on our usage pattern, our interest, that we are not understanding. So these kind of things are available around us. So I will give you a few examples on that. Yeah, so few of the examples are like, if you even on the Spotify or on the YouTube, actually, after the initial usage pattern, it will create playlist for us. We don't need to manually select and play the playlist. I am not sure, like when we are traveling on the car, we will pick up any particular song to play based on our previous usage. Actually, the Spotify itself will play the music, and we are not going to change. Like maybe we will forward or we will click on the next or previous one. Other than that, we will not particularly choose. It's a rare case like choosing another song, but most of the cases we will play the same song, because it might be based on our interest, because based on the usage pattern and everything, it should be based on that. Also, similar example is on the Uber. When we on the Uber, actually, when we book a particular uh, for a travel or a ride, actually, the system itself will suggest the ETA. based on the traffic, everything. So here the user has not asked this Uber to find the estimated ETA, when will I reach there. That kind of details has never the user has been asked, but the system itself is calculating, and you don't need to refresh the ETA or the time required to reach the rider to your location. So if you remember, like on the Uber application, the system itself will do the refresh and it will show the ETA based on that. You don't need to like refresh the page. So that's happening by default. Even similarly on the bank fraud alert, like if we have done some transaction more than I think 20,000 something, the system itself is triggering a message to us. Like this kind of a transaction has been happened, it has been done from your side or not. So that kind of validation, like if you look at this, all of this only have a confirmation, need a confirmation from the user, whether this is done by you or not. And some of the experiences might be happening without any user action itself. Like we are just entering the car and we are just starting, just playing the song based on our interest. It's the song is going to play. Similarly, on the food delivery application, if you look at the best example should be Zomato. Like if you look at the Zomato application, when we open a particular hotel itself based on our previous interest across the hotels, it will suggest the food we can uh, like order. Also, there should be some particular combos based on our interest, based on our previous interest. It should show the recommendation combos for us. So these kind of things are all around us, but like I mentioned, we are not aware. Okay, so this has reduced this much effort from a user perspective. Like we only need to just click on, like we only need to confirm the part. So that's we are not thinking. So even on the topic itself, I think I have added like transforming the traditional UX to a conversational chat. So maybe some of you guys may have think like I'm going to explain about Teams or WhatsApp channel, like moving the entire application to a Teams chat or maybe a Slack or WhatsApp chat. So by mentioning invisible UX, I don't mean it's a chatbot. It's more than chatbot. Like it can be a smart notification. It can be a noise command. It can be a predictive suggestion. It can also be a something happening in the background, like without informing the user, it's happening something background and just checking for a confirmation whether do you want this particular one, or it can also be a AR VR assistance like the Google Lens. Also, one more thing is there should be no borderline, like this should happen in one system itself. Like the user experience for one particular task can happen across the system itself. So just imagine how the Teams application works. So we are using the Teams on a mobile, even on the laptop also. Maybe on the morning stand-up call, we all might be taking the call on the mobile phone and just attending the giving the updates. And maybe after 10 a.m., actually, we will be working on the laptop and we will be sharing the screen on the laptop. We will be sharing the screen and discussing the things. Maybe on the evening call, actually, we will be driving on the car and we will be attending the call on the car itself. So everywhere, if you look, actually, we are doing the same task. Like we are connecting with other team members or other peoples, and we are discussing things. But if you look at the channel, it has been changed. So morning we just used the mobile phone. In the afternoon we have used the laptop, and in the evening we have used the Android Auto or maybe the Apple thing. So these kind of things should happen. Like we can't say that one system should depend on one particular system itself. It should be like we should be able to access everything from other like daily using application itself. So when we say WhatsApp, actually, I know all of you guys are familiar with banks like HDFC, and I don't know whether you have used WhatsApp banking for the HDFC bank. So it's something very cool feature they have introduced. Actually, once we are signed up for the WhatsApp banking, we don't need to log into the application just for checking the balance or just for getting the transactions. The system, the WhatsApp channel itself will help us to like just we need to put a message from the registered mobile number, just a hi message. It will give us the option something like which the SIM providers previously do. They will give us some options like, okay, do you want to check the balance? Do you want to get a summarization of the transactions? So these kind of options are there. Through the WhatsApp itself, we will get the transaction list. Like just imagine if I want to give a transaction summary to a bank for a particular loan purpose, I don't need to go to the bank or I don't need to go to the bank application itself. Through the WhatsApp itself, I can just type in and I will get the summarization part, like the transaction details as a PDF. So parallelly, when we do this on the WhatsApp itself, parallelly they will send the same thing through the email as well. So user should be one, and they will be doing one single task, but the channels may be using maybe different, like it can be mobile or it can be Teams, Slacks. Maybe I will be giving the instruction through voice as well. So in the Chrome also, you guys know, right? Like we can give the input by typing the request, and we can also give it by the voice. So what like when we say we have done this part, and what are the benefits for the user? Like when we say like we have reduced the usage of screens or flows, and what make a benefit for this user. So something simple, like we mentioned, like the effort has been reduced. So I can take faster decisions. I don't need to think so much because I have got all the context. So if you remember the example of Book My Show itself, I don't need to search for another theater or another timing, because the system itself has shown me the list of theaters, and I need to only click and check the seats, and I need to book. So the thought process from the user has been reduced, and the effort the user has to spend on the system has been reduced. So lesser effort, and it helps also to take faster decisions. Also, there should not be any learning curve, because all the things has been familiar by the user itself. So there should not be any learning curves for the user to use the application. Also, it should be more personalized and convenience, and the trust should be more high, because all the details which we are showing as a part of, maybe as a part of a conversational chat, the same example, Book My Show, we are not showing like, okay, there is a next theater. We are giving with some high level evidence and explainable content, like, okay, in this theater we have show at this time with these much seats are available. So we are giving more details based on user pattern and user requirement, and the user can quickly trust what we have given. So that much, when we give that much detail, the user can quickly take the decision, and they can trust what the system has been given. So when we say we have like this has been given benefits for the users, similarly for the businesses or in the organization also have benefits. So the major one is the faster approvals. Like previously, user has been taken a lot of time to close or maybe complete one task, that has been reduced from uh, like from days to minutes or seconds. So something similar is I think if you guys have used Jira, actually when we create a task and when we are having subtasks, there is a workflow, so that we have an option to create workflows. Like when one particular task is closed, if there is a task which is part of or which is linked to this particular task is open, that can also be closed. That is part of Jira automation. So that kind of automation has reduced a lot of effort from the user side, and it helped the user to close the task easily, because most probably both the tasks will be the same, something related to that task, and that if the higher issue or if the top task has been closed, the subtask can also be closed, but the effort or the time taken by the user to cross check and close should be more. So by using the Jira automation part, that approval and or the closing of that ticket becomes easier. So that also increase from the business perspective also, that has been made the decision of the user more fast, and it has also made more engagement to the user and better productivity. Also, this will reduce the support side. Like I mentioned, users don't need any support, or user don't need any guidance or learning guide on how to use the system. So they should be easy to understand. Okay, this is going to work like this, and this is how I will get the ticket. So there will not be much support tickets, and there will not be much person who will be supporting the system. Still, there should be people who needed to support the system, but the count of the supporting members might be very low, because the users are capable of understanding the system and how it works, what all things can be taken, what all things can't be taken. So everything is very simple and easy to understand by the user itself. So no one is needed for giving them a guidance or support. Also, these much things make higher support, higher satisfaction for the businessing part, and it will also increase the competitive matter. Like when we have shown a new user experience and effortless user experience, user should start expecting that kind of experiences from other application, or maybe from similar kind of scenarios. So that kind of competitive effort should also be there. So the next part is like how, when we say all of this, like from a design perspective, what all things might be changing when we say modern UX. So previously we were, from the UX perspective, we will, when I say UX, it also involves UI part as well. So when we say the UX from a designer perspective, we might be going through the user journeys, workflows, then screens, navigations. Maybe we will be focusing more on how we can show the buttons, what happens when we on the hover the button and all. But right now it has been changed. Like when I say it has been changed, it was not like we are not going to design any screens or navigation flows, but the count of the screens, count of navigations, the way we show the data, or the way we will collect the data, or the visual hierarchy, that might get changed, because in the modern UX part, actually, it's more on the context. It's not on the screens, or not on how much data we are going to collect from the user. It's more on how much less data we can directly ask the user, how much data or how much the system knows about the user, and what all decisions can be taken by the system itself, how much information can be shown to the user, what all things can be automated from the system perspective, and where all we need users confirmation, where all the system itself can take the decision, and how we show the data like to the user. Like even when we say this data, the entire process is done by AI. For example, in the ChatGPT, everywhere below the screen itself, you can see AI can make mistakes like that. So whenever we are showing the data, how we are showing the data, if the data is processed by the AI, like how we are phrasing it, how we are making the user to believe, okay, this has been done because of this particular intent or this particular interest, or maybe due to this particular context, the system has been done this, so can we confirm? So that kind of thing also need to be think from a design perspective. Like it's something like we on. It's only not like designing the workflows or screen. It's more on how intelligence can be designed from the design perspective. Like how we can involve the intelligence part to the designing workflow, and how we can reduce the entire effort moving from the screens or interface where user need to click from. The interface itself will take the decision and give the goals for us. So the next is like moving forward, what will going to happen? So this is not only for the UX. So if you look at um, like everything is getting changed. So some of these things might be already available, or maybe already used by ourselves itself. So for example, predictive AI assistant. So that's already available. We were using that kind of experience is used by us as well. So in the Spotify and all, we were using that based on the ambient computing, based on the response, maybe the system itself on the wearable interaction. So one simple example is on the AC. So previously we need to adjust the temperature of the AC based on our interest or based on our comfort. But actually now if you look at the ACs which we have, the system itself is capable of understanding how much temperature the room has. Based on that, the system itself will adjust the temperature based on that. So here, if you look at from a user perspective, I have only turned on the AC and I have not done any action other than that. So the system itself understand, okay, the temperature is 22 and we can reduce the temperature to 24 degrees Celsius. So that decision is done by the system itself. If that's not right, we can make the changes to that. But still, if you look at, there is an option to manually intervene the decision done by that particular system itself. The other one is on the context aware, like how much details the system knows about the user, like who is the user, when the user want this particular data, like what can be done from the system side in behalf of the user. So that is also one important thing which will enhance the future of modern UX part. And the other one is on the AI agents acting as a user. So you guys might be heard about agentic AI and agents which work instead of the user. So this is also making a lot of experiences, user experiences from the previous version, because here the system itself is working as a user, working on behalf of the user, the similar way what the user is being doing. And here it's giving an option for the user to design the experience or workflow as well. So just an example, if my colleague or someone who is not happy with the job, and if he's not looking for a new job, actually they can previously what happened is that they will maybe create a resume and they will search, update that on the Naukri, and they will find they will on a daily basis they will go through the Naukri application for searching the job. But right now, if you ask me, like that much effort is not required. Say when we are searching for a new job, actually maybe we can use the Cloud or some application and we can create some subtasks. We can schedule some task on that. We can give the resume, we can give the Naukri details, and we can ask that to do a daily job based on the Naukri and search for the job and find out the right match based on my resume and identify the new jobs. So similar thing which we can do on Outlook and Gmail as well. Like when we apply the job, actually we can find out the mails which are part of the interview, and the system itself can respond back to the mails. And so I would like to give you one more example which we have on the Zoom application. So something similar to Teams, which we are using for communicating each other. Actually, the Zoom application has introduced a new kind of workflow. So that has made the user experience more comfortable and more easy. Like it has called a workflow and workspace option in the system. So what happens is that we can create workflows like in the absence of us. So you guys may be wondering, like, is there an option like I don't want to attend the meeting, but I want to understand what they have discussed. And if I get an information about what we have discussed, it should be great. So that is something very cool feature, right? Like we have to attend few meetings, but we don't want to join the meeting. But if we get an details of what they have discussed, it should be great. So Zoom application has that feature. Like we can just create a workflow in the Zoom application. Like it will join the meeting, like not like Sai has joined the meeting or maybe UV has joined the meeting. It's not like that. It will invisibly join the meeting. It will record all the things. It will summarize and it will send it as a mail to us. The same thing happens for all the meetings. Even if I join the meeting also, I can create that workflow. And it has one more cool feature, like it will create subtasks for us. Like if you imagine I am just joining the stand-up call or maybe a sprint planning call, and I was in between. I was just traveling through the car, and I'm just listening to that, but I'm not more focused on the call. But the system itself is ready to listen to the entire thing, and it will identify, okay, Sai has to do this much design, Sai has to do this much coding task. So the system itself will identify what all tasks should be done from my side, and it will list down on the workspace itself. So that kind of user experience has been started, like has been introduced by Zoom application itself. So these kind of things are happening all around us. So that might be the future, or maybe that might be the present kind of user experiences which we should design, I think. So finally, actually, the main context actually, when we say all of this, like I mentioned, user is the major one. Like you changes happen to the user has made the entire thing happen. So for the modern UX, what is the major thing? The context itself? Like I mentioned in the previous one, like who is the user, what they can be done, what they need, what was their past action, what was their pattern, what all things they would like to do, like what is the how they communicate, like what should be the tone, what should be the choice. So these are all things understood by the system should help the response. So if you look at maybe ChatGPT or Google Gemini, in the settings itself, there is an option like we can configure the behavior pattern, like how should the system behave. So most of us might be using ChatGPT for rephrasing the context. Maybe in the mail, when we are sending a mail to someone, most of us might be using ChatGPT. And if you check yourself, actually, it can be quickly understand by the other user or maybe the person who received the mail. Okay, this content has been drafted from the ChatGPT itself. The reason behind that is because the preferences and the style you have not set on the ChatGPT. So in the preference itself, we can set up the pattern and style, because ChatGPT already has enabled that feature, like to improve the user experiences, like user experiences of the output. Actually, they already have provided a feature like we can stylize, we can like mention the pattern how we want the output. So that experience is already there, and that feature is already. But but we are not aware of that and we are not using that. That's why we are getting, whenever we are asking to rephrase, the system itself will write a common AI pattern without any human touch. So similarly, when the system works, actually, the system should be aware of what are the patterns or what are the style stones the user should be available, like at the time of the request, maybe what should be the user pattern during the same time, whether it's a dead time. Because if the system has all the data, then based on the context, actually the system should be able to understand what all things need to be considered. So that will comes under the context, like the activity patterns, behavior, and all other stuffs. So when we say this, actually, we mentioned like from the traditional UX, actually a lot of things have been changed. Uh, like from the modern UX, the count of screen has been reduced, interfaces has been reduced. It can be through the voice. So during that time, that should be a question like, does the UX principle which was designed or built years ago still have like validation, like still value, have any value, or that still matter? If you ask me, like yes, but core principle persist, and also we need, there should be more principle which will be merged with the existing core principles. So even if there is a reduction in the count of screens, or maybe the interaction is through the voice, or maybe through the WhatsApp channel, the clarity, trust, accessibility, user feedback, the consistency, these all should be there. But along with that, we also need something new, which is part of the new modern UX part, something like AI transparency. The data provided by the AI should be transparent to the users. Then only the user should be able to understand, okay, the reason why this system has been chosen this particular option is because of this particular reason. So there should be a transparency between the system and the user. So similarly on the ethical automation, so system can be done any kind of automation, but it doesn't mean that the entire user can be replaced and we can do the entire automation by the system itself. So for example, in the case of HDFC bank, WhatsApp banking itself, I mentioned through the WhatsApp we will get all the details. So there also through the WhatsApp chat, actually we will only get the details of bank account balance, the transaction details. We will not get any kind of, we cannot transfer any money through WhatsApp chat itself. So that kind of restrictions are there. Like that is something done by the user itself. That cannot be done by automation. That cannot be done by the system itself. So that kind of automation or ethical kind of thing should be considered while doing the modern UX part, and what all things can be explained to the user, what all things can be automated from the user side, what all things can be predicted from the system side, and what all things should be done by the user itself. Even that's something simply done by the system itself, what all things we should forcefully ask the user to do. So these all things will come around along with the existing UX principles. So that's all from my side. Actually, I just want to summarize what we have discussed till now. Actually, yeah. So the major 5 points which I want to convey is UX is moving beyond the screens and flows. Like when we say UX, it's not only the workflows, journeys, navigation. It's more on how we can bring more intelligence to the user experiences. AI reduces interaction effort, not just visual clutter. Like AI is going to reduce the interaction effort. It doesn't mean that AI is going to replace all the screens or visual clutters has been removed. And the other point is like the term invisible UX. The modern UX is already around us. We were using it. Now also we were using it, but mostly we are not aware. Okay, there has been an intelligence used on behalf of this particular user experiences. Also, when we say modern UX, it doesn't mean that it's only a conversational interface. Like other than that, smart notifications, a voice, AR, VR, these also comes under that. And context and automation drive the future of design. Like context automation and the user behavior patterns drive the future of design. When the user thought change or when the user behavior changes, the entire thing is going to change based on the technology available with us. Yeah, that's all from my side. So,
Thank you all.